All right, so the NBA season is about to start. So I figured I would give you guys my top picks, my prediction for how this season is going to go in. So for the upcoming season, the NBA has decided to do a play-in tournament. So that means that the top 6 teams are going to be safe and they're going to be joining in the playoffs. And which means that seeds number 7, 8, 9, and 10 have to compete to be able to become officially a part of the playoffs. So without further ado, we're going to get started with our picks. So let's start off with our 7, 8, 9, and 10 seeds that I think are going to happen, and in no particular order. I think if we're looking at the West, I'm looking at the New Orleans Pelicans being one of those 4 teams. I think they have a young core. I think that Zion can really take off this year. I think that adding veterans like Steven Adams can be very, very, very beneficial to them. And overall, I think it's an exciting team. They like to play up tempo, so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Our next team that we have here is going to be the Phoenix Suns. Everybody heard that we added Chris Paul to that team, which automatically makes, in my opinion, makes them a team that can compete on every night. Chris Paul has that identity. He bleeds onto his teammates. And when looking at Devin Booker, he's a superstar. A superstar that has never had someone that can carry the load, or let's take it back. Devin Booker has never had an aggressive point guard that can shoot the ball efficiently that will open up gaps for him. If you're looking at this past point guards, you're looking at Eric Bledsoe. Bledsoe loved to drive going to the basket, and you're looking at Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio is not a threat shooting. So I think adding Chris Paul to that, imagine that you got Chris Paul, a pick and roll with DeAndre Ayton rolling hard to the rim, and you got Devin Booker on the weak side. Like, how are you going to guard that? So I think the Suns is going to be another team. Next, we got the Memphis Grizzlies. I really, really like Ja Morant, Rookie of the Year, led all rookies last year. They get back my man, Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. That's a big piece that they did not have in the bubble. So we're going to watch out for that. And our last one, how can you forget about the Warriors? I think Golden State is going to be a team that's going to fight. Klay Thompson will not be playing, but I think that with Steph Curry being on the floor, him being able to shoot the ball that he does, opens up so much for his teammates. And I think that's going to be a team to watch. Now, moving over to our 6th seed. So, seed number 6, I'm going to go with our Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to choose Dallas Mavericks because I think that Luka has shown that he has that superstar potential in him. And I think that if Porzingis returns and they get to completely have like a full season with each other, I think that could be very interesting to watch. They got Josh Richardson from Philadelphia, so that's a very interesting pick. And again, that's the next thing. Can this group take the next step? So that's my number 6. Number 5. We have the Utah Jazz. I like Utah a lot. Let's not forget that they did not have Bogdanovic, as he was injured around the month of May, so he did not participate in the bubble. Derek Favors returns to a team that he's very familiar with, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic. They are deep, and when I say deep, I just mean that they have players that can contribute on a nightly basis. And obviously, with Mike Conley and all those, you have players that are able to bring something every night. And then the last step will be Donovan Mitchell, his rise to superstardom. We saw a lot of great things from him in the bubble. Is he going to be able to continue that? Stay tuned. Next one, number 4. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Clippers. That's a drop from last year. The Clippers were number 2 at the end of the regular season. I think they lose too much. I think they lose Montrezl Harrell, they lose JaMychal Green, and I think a lot of times last year they were able to win games because of the depth that they had on their bench. And also, if you think about it, Montrezl leaving is a big loss, not only for their bench, but they have Lou Williams off the bench. And when Montrezl would play with Lou Williams, you would be able to see that it's a different way. Like, you're not going to guard a pick and roll with Ibaka, because now they get Ibaka, which is a decent pickup. But you're not going to get the same kind of pick and roll defensive coverage. It's not the same pick and roll with Ibaka. With Montrezl Harrell was putting pressure at the rim. Montrezl Harrell was rolling. Montrezl Harrell was looking to dunk. Ibaka will probably step out, pop out, try to shoot some threes. And I think that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because then in a situation where you would have to include a third person to guard that pick and roll, well, now you're in a position where you have to guard it. You're allowed to guard it by just switching. And I think that's something that can come back and bite them. Lost JaMychal Green, lost him there. And also you put a lot of pressure on Paul George. You know Kawhi's going to be consistent. That's a fact. But now Paul George has to put up big numbers almost every night. Could be taxing. For our number 3 team, ladies and gentlemen, Portland Trailblazers. So I'm choosing Portland Trailblazers because I think that with the Trailblazers, I think that you have a team here that is deep, that is looking to take the next step. So looking at Portland, you add Robert Covington, you add Enes Kanter, you have Rodney Hood coming back from injury, you have Yusuf Nurkic, Derrick Jones Jr. is coming over from Miami, you got Harry Giles. This is a deep team. And especially in a season like this, where you're going to be playing your division a lot, I think it's super important for you to have some depth, because you're going to have a lot of back-to-backs. And you kind of have that element of surprise that you could bring to your opponents on a nightly basis, because you don't have to necessarily plan what your roster is going to be. You have that luxury to be able to switch things up on a nightly basis. And are we going to get an MVP season from Damian Lillard? That could be something to see. He went off in the bubble. Sure, going to expect him to do a little bit more. And that's why I'm choosing the Portland Trailblazers. I just think that as a unit, I just feel like it's a tightly knit group. They're ready to take the next step. All right, number 2, at second spot, we got the Denver Nuggets. I like Denver. Keys for Denver are going to be this. Is Michael Porter Jr. the real deal? Is he going to be able to contribute? Let's think about it this way. Are they going to take the next step towards being a contender? That's something to look out for. When you have Michael Porter Jr., last year we saw some glimpses of the bubble. If he contributes to this team could be very dangerous. Is Jamal Murray gonna continue his play? We saw him go head-to-head with Donovan Mitchell. Is he going to keep that up? Is he going to step his game up? And Jokic looks fluid. I'm going to show you guys a clip right here. Like, if Jokic is moving like this, that's what I was a little bit worried about, that he was a little bit slow-footed. But if he can move like this, we have a problem on our hands. And number 1, no surprise here, Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, they got the best offseason in the NBA. They got better. You add Montrezl Harrell. You add Wesley Matthews, Dennis Schroeder. And I saw them during the preseason. They had They had a lineup where they rested LeBron and Anthony Davis, and they still had a competitive lineup. You could still play Schroeder, you could still play Montrez, you could still play Wesley Matthews, you could play Kuzma. Now, Talon Horton-Tucker is stepping up. Marc Gasol, that's a big pickup too. I mean, this is going to be a very, very fun to watch. Depth and versatility at multiple positions. They got that championship experience. And of course, year 18, it's kind of nice to have this guy, especially if he doesn't show that he's slowing down. It's gonna be a fun season. So these are my Western Conference predictions. Thank you for sticking to the end of this video, and let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree with these, or if you don't, please write it in the comments. And if you haven't already and you enjoy the content, please hit that like button, smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.